Hello, my friends. Let's start with the fact that after the West permitted strikes on Russian territory with their missiles, powerful heads have targeted Russian military sites for 2 consecutive days. But it wasn't only in Russia where explosions were heard yesterday. Oh, in the evening, there were reports of blasts in Berdyansk. It seems. A focused effort has begun to eliminate Russian bases and storage facilities, and of course, this has shocked the Russians. They thought Putin would prevent this, yet they continue to threaten nuclear strikes and claim to be the strongest. However, not only Ukrainian drones but also Western missiles are effectively destroying military targets on Russian territory. Russians are saying that there were about 8 hits in almost the same area yesterday, indicating something important must have been there. Nevertheless, the Russians still believe they can divide Ukraine into parts. The Russian Minister of Defense has even shared a plan for 2045, showing how they envision splitting Ukraine into 3 sections. Russia has prepared a plan to divide Ukraine into 3 parts and is attempting to present it to the US. According to the hostile projections, Ukraine would be divided into the following main sections. The first one, new regions of Russia, which would bring Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, Kherson region, the Autonomous Republic of Crimea, and Sevastopol into Russian territory. Russia's primary military efforts are currently focused on achieving this task. Second one, a pro-Russian state formation, involving a pro-Russian government that would reject NATO and European Union membership while allowing Russian military presence similar to Transnistria, Abkhazia, and South Ossetia. And the third one, disputed territories, the western part of Ukraine, whose future would be determined between Russia and neighboring states such as Hungary, Poland, and Romania. In reality, the Russians are unable to push Ukrainian forces out of their own Kursk region, yet they are drawing plans to carve up Ukrainian territory on paper. So the circus continues. Meanwhile, Zelensky stated that the end of the war is directly depends on the US.
Isn't Putin the only one who can make the decision to end this war?
I'm sure that as of today, it depends on Putin, really a lot. He can do that. He can be willing and end this war. But it also depends on the United States of America much more. Putin is weaker than the United States of America. The President of the United States of America has the strength and authorities and the weapons, and he can decrease the price for the energy resources. By the way, I heard this signal from the media from President Trump, that he is thinking to decrease the price for energy sources, for oil, and it is needed to be done.
So, in any case, it's necessary to wait for Trump's inauguration, and only then might we see some changes. But again, most likely not immediately or within 24 hours, as Trump has promised. Meanwhile, Ukraine's foreign minister made it clear that Ukraine will not accept any peace proposals involving territorial compromises.
There can be no alternative to peace through strength. Ukraine will not accept any initiative that suggests compromises on our sovereignty or territorial integrity. We will not accept any initiatives developed without our participation. Nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. We will not accept any land for peace deals. Such ideas will only mean leaving millions of people in the hands of the aggressor and subject to genocide, torture, and oppression. Furthermore, rewarding Russia with territorial gains will not restore peace, but instead provoke further aggression. This is appeasement, not peace. Appeasement has never worked in the past, and it will not work now.
Overall, it's clear that Ukraine is saying it will not give up its territories for peace. Meanwhile, Russia insists it will not relinquish the territories it has seized. It seems each side, aware that negotiations are inevitable with Trump's potential return, is demanding more to eventually secure at least something. What do you think about this? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. Of course, it's critical not to underestimate the adversary as they are still making progress on the front. Let's take a look at the current situation, starting with the area around Velyka Novosilka. The Russians are advancing toward the Dnipropetrovsk region. Yesterday, they managed to move 4 kilometers closer to the village of Novosilka, and they also advanced 800 meters beyond the village of Novodaryevka. It seems they are pushing toward the Dnipropetrovsk region, which is now only 5 kilometers and 800 meters from the outermost front line, an extremely concerning situation. Meanwhile, they continue their assaults on Rozdolne and are conducting ongoing shelling. So the situation here is very challenging and activity is notably high. In the Kurakhove direction, the situation is worsening daily. In addition to breaking through near Yelizavetivka and capturing Ilyinka, the Russians continue pushing toward the center of Kurakhove. Assaults on the village of Dalne also persist as they attempt to fully capture it. A large number of offensive operations are being conducted around Sontsivka, Berestki, then Antonivka, Yelizavetivka, Hanivka, then Trudove, Konstantinopolsk, and the village of Sukhi Yali. Overall, they are trying to break through the defense line and consolidate the front line for further advancement toward the Dnipropetrovsk region. So Katerinivka and Dalne have been occupied. Nearly the entire eastern part of Kurakhove is under control. Rearguard battles in Suntsivka and Berestki are nearing completion. The Russians are attempting to cross the Sukhi River east of Uspenivka and have entered Rozdolne, establishing a foothold in the outermost houses. The village of Novy Komar is expected to be the next target after Rozdolne. If they manage to capture Novosilka on the opposite flank, Velyka Novosilka may be in serious danger. In the Pokrovsk direction, reports again indicate that Russian forces have captured Ukrainian soldiers. Meanwhile, offensive activity is extremely high across the entire front line. The Russians are attempting to storm Myrolubivka, surrounding it from both sides and moving through the fields. Battles are also ongoing for the villages of Prominy, Lysivka, Dachinske, Petrivka, Pustinka, Yuryevka and Novoalekseyevka, and also Pushkina. Here they are trying to stretch the front line as much as possible to prepare for the potential encirclement of Pokrovsk. For now, the Ukrainian forces are doing everything possible, and as of today, the front line remains unchanged. In the Toretsk direction, the Russians continue shelling and attacking Sherbinivka and Toretsk with ongoing battles near Druzhba. However, there have been no changes on the front line in the past day. In the Chasiv Yar direction, the Russians are storming Stupochki, effectively extending the front line, but not to encircle Chasiv Yar, but to advance towards Kostantinivka. This is because Chasiv Yar is already partially occupied by Russian forces, making a full encirclement less necessary. They are gradually taking it without surrounding it completely. If they succeed in advancing through Stupochki and Pretechne toward Kostantinivka and approach Maisk from the north, the Ukrainian forces in the area could find themselves partially surrounded. These are the directions in which they are advancing daily. So Shalin continues, but as of now, no new developments have occurred in the past day. It's also important to know that just yesterday there were reports of heavy shelling in Kramatorsk, although no offensive actions have been recorded in this direction so far. In the Siversk direction, the Russians have decreased their activity. They continue shelling Siversk while gathering additional reserves for new attacks. For now, the situation remains unchanged. In the Crimea direction, the Russians are attacking Terny and Zarichne. However, they have made no new gains here. The Ukrainian forces are successfully holding the defense, not retreating across the river, and maintaining control over both villages. In the Burova direction, the situation is challenging, but the Ukrainian forces are managing to repel all attacks. The battles for Zagrizova and Lozova continue despite the difficulty posed by partial encirclement. Fighting also persists for Pershotravneva, with forces pushing through fields towards Novosergiyevka. Further south, there are battles for Krakivka, but no changes in positions have been reported. In the Kupiansk direction, the Russians are attempting to advance towards Kindrashivka and are actively assaulting Petropavlivka. Shelling continues across the entire frontline area, but there have been no changes in positions over the past day. In the Kharkiv direction, shelling persists, but without offensive actions. Meanwhile, fighting continues in Vovchansk, though the Russians haven't achieved any successes. In the Kursk direction, shelling continues, but no new Russian assaults have been reported, and the front line has remained unchanged over the past day. Now turning to the southern direction, starting with the Zaporizhia area. The Russians are not showing significant activity. There are battles for Novoandreevka, but the Russians haven't made any progress, and the front line remains stable. In the Kherson direction, activity remains high. Along with Shalin on the right bank, Russian forces are attempting to advance on the islands. However, the Ukrainian forces are successfully repelling these attempts, and the front line remains unchanged here as well. And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.